What's up, everybody? Welcome back, AG Sports. It is one day closer to football time. We're a little bit more than 24 hours away from game one, and I wanted to give you guys an update with, I don't want to call it my best bet, because my best bet was a Seahawks line that you can no longer get, but I will call it the best bet that you can still jump on. What am I talking about? I am talking about the Saints. The Saints versus the Packers, to be clear, and I am fading the Saints, jumping on the Packers. So if you're looking for just the pick, there you go. It's the Packers, minus the 4.5. But let me get into some of this and give you a little bit of why. I'm going to give you a little bit of history and tell you exactly where this pick is coming from. So when I look at the Saints team, I just see a team that is very devoid of talent. And obviously they're NFL players, blah, 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 you know that whole spiel. But, I mean, there is not one big-name guy that anybody was running out there to put on their fantasy team or somebody's trying to collect cards of or anything like that. There's no big-ticket name on this Saints team other than Alvin Kamara. But what I mean by no big-ticket name is when it comes to handicapping, the running back is one of the least valuable positions, and it's if you are not already aware of this, the way that GMs look at teams and the way that they assess value, it goes quarterback, lineman, receivers. After the receivers, you can get a little bit different answers or get some variations there. Some people place defense before that. Other people will put like special teams or something like that. But usually it's those three first, and then it's like defense, running back, special teams, or somewhere along those lines. But those first, really two of the first three spots, the Saints just do not have an answer at. We have Jameis Winston, and we have a bunch of no-name receivers until Michael Thomas comes back. And even when Michael Thomas comes back, he's not going to, I do not foresee him, I should say, being at 100% right off the rip. Game one, he's not going to enter and be Michael Thomas we remember from last year or 2 years ago. What I was trying to put together here was a team that looked very similar to this Saints team, and maybe who we can look back at history and say, okay, that team is pretty similar. How did they do? How did they turn out? The team that I ended up finding was the Patriots from 2019, which, of course, this was the last year that the Patriots had Tom Brady, and they really had him in the room to help that team, keep afloat. Now, that Patriots team ended up going 12-4. So they had a really good season, and off of just that, information and just that stat, you might wonder, like, well, why the hell are you fading the Saints so hard then? Well, let me take a deeper dive into this. So they ended 12-4. Of those 12 wins, guess how many wins came against teams who ended up over 500? Just take a guess. If you're at the gym or you're wherever, shout it out loud and make people think you're crazy. The answer is 3. They had 3 wins out of those 12. Out of the whole 16-game season, they had 3 wins that came against teams that were above 500. Now, even those 3 wins were pretty questionable. One of the wins came against the Eagles, who went 9-7 that year. 9-7, yes, they're over 500. They did get the benefit of playing in the NFC least that year, where, as always, most of the teams were not very good. There was not really a big juggernaut in that division, so there's a couple wins they racked up there. But let's give it to them. They beat a winning team in the Eagles. Aside from the Eagles, who else did they beat? They beat the Bills twice. Both of those times, obviously, that's a divisional game. They were close games, very defensive matchups, and that was the year that the Patriots' defense was just, like, amazing. It was like a shutdown defense. Gilmore was stopping everybody, and that's really what they relied on, and that's how they won their games. And one of the games that they won later on, it was against the Cowboys. Cowboys were not a were not a team that ended up above 500, but I remember watching that game, and it was like a monsoon, and they just could not move the ball, either team. because it was just so drenched and the rain was coming down so hard. And the Patriots actually played in 2 games that year that were like that, and they won both of those games. And so the Bills was I would say, the best win that they had that year, both times. And they both came off a very strong defensive play where they got to take advantage of a young Josh Allen who threw some picks and just didn't have very good showings. Those are the 3 wins. Their losses, the 4 losses, who did those come against? Those came against teams that, as you probably guessed, were winning teams. They lost against teams like the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Texans. Now, what happened to this team, when they went to the playoffs? Because they did make the playoffs at a 12-4 record. They were immediately exited in the wild card round by the Titans. This is just first week lost. I think it was like the first time they said Tom Brady had lost in that opening round. I could be wrong about that, but that's what I vaguely remember hearing at the time. But either way, they lost that opening weekend or wild card weekend, and that was it. The whole season, they benefited by having one of, if not the absolute easiest schedule, and taking advantage of that, and really getting to utilize one of the best quarterbacks in the league, the best minds in the league, one of the best coaches in the league, and probably the best defense in the league at that time, or one of the top 3 defenses in the league at that time. Fast forward 2 years to today, we look at the Saints. Very similar type team. There's no big name wide receiver. There's no receiver that really has this has shown us before that they can do it at the NFL level. I know a lot of people are very high on Warren Callaway. I think he's a great prospect. I think he had a good preseason. We still haven't seen him do it against NFL live action regular season games. And honestly, if you have one weapon that's really your go-to focal point, everybody, and I mean everybody from the defensive coordinator to the players on the field to the fans in the stands, know that that's your guy. And everyone's going to be trying to stop that one guy. They also have Traycon Smith, another guy who he has shown us a little bit. He did really well with Drew Brees, but that's, not anything I'm very worried about. That's nothing that most teams are going to say, oh my God, we got to shut down this dude. It's really just he's a complimentary piece at best. And that's it. And Jameis Winston, as we know, has never really been very careful with the ball. He played, and almost a direct correlation to this, he played with that Buccaneers team the year that Brady played with the Patriots before the trade happened where Brady went to Tampa Bay. And what did Jameis do with that same team that Brady had? Minus Antonio Brown, but that, again, not really a big focal point of the team even when Brady got there. Jameis went 30 for 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions. Just not a great year. And Brady was able to come in, do better with that same team, or essentially the same team. Now we're moving Jameis over to another team, giving him worse talent. While I think Sean Payton is a great coach, and I would rate him top 5 and definitely top 10 in the NFL right now, and let's even say top 5, he's still not Bill Belichick. He's still not better than Bill. So you're having a team with a lesser quarterback, a lesser coach, maybe just a hair better at receiver talent. The offensive line, I will say, for the Saints is pretty good. The defensive side of the ball is pretty good. They were really, really great last year. If you remember, the Saints were a pretty tough matchup for anybody, whether you're talking about fantasy or just actual football. But they have lost some pieces due to free agency, and then they also have some guys that are out due to injury on that defensive line, and they're not sure how long they're going to be gone. But for sure, they are missing week 1. So I'm putting all these things together, and I'm saying that Patriots team that had Tom Brady, had Bill Belichick, pretty similar receivers, and then there's a Saints team that has that same kind of build with just lesser players. If the Patriots team back then could not be a winning team, or they struggled to be a winning team that was a non-divisional opponent, we should not expect the Saints to come in and beat what we expect to be a winning team that is also a non-divisional opponent. The Packers should be able to dominate this game from start to finish. Now, on top of all this, Aaron Rodgers also has a little beef with the Saints after his loss to them last year. Scratch that. Let's retract that. That was thinking of the wrong year. But either way, Aaron Rodgers versus Jameis Winston. I'm taking Aaron Rodgers all day. what grudge or not, Aaron Rodgers is just the better quarterback. They have the better team. They have the better talent. Maybe their coach is just a little bit less than Sean Payton, maybe in efficiency, but LaFleur is talented. I mean, the guy's got into the NFC Championship. It's not a question at this point for me on the Packers. Now, aside from all these things, you also have the Saints that have had the hurricane happen in their home state of Louisiana, and they're really being forced to kind of, fly by the seam of their pants, I guess. They didn't have a practice facility, and they did, and they were going to play in Dallas, and they weren't, and they're going to play in Jacksonville, and they got to travel to Jacksonville. It's just one thing after another with the Saints, and it's no fault of their own, obviously, and it's terrible what happened in New Orleans and in the state of Louisiana. And so if you are listening to this from Louisiana, I wish you the best, and I hope that recovery goes well. But as far as football is concerned, I think that the Saints just have too many other things going on, and they're going against them. And then if you've heard my previous videos, Sean Payton he's a slow starter. And I broke down in a different video kind of why I think that is. A lot of analytics, I think, come into play for him, as well as for their front office. They like to go off of stats and data and things like that. And early in the season, there's really nothing to go off of other than prior year experiences, which may have changed. So all of those things put together, I really, really love the Packers at -4.5. And I think a lot of people are being very hesitant with taking that team because they're not really quite sure what to make of it. They haven't seen the Saints. They're thinking maybe the Saints are better than we think they are. They still have Alvin Kamara, and maybe they'll put something together, and maybe the Sean Payton is just going to come out and surprise us all. There is absolutely nothing that I have seen, that I have read, that I've come across, any historical trends, historical data, anything pointing in that direction. So if you have not already done so, I would be putting money on the Packers. I'd make it a full unit. If you are somebody that goes over a unit, do more. But I'm probably going to wait until the day of the game just to see where this line moves. And there's not really any harm in doing that, at least right now, because there's not a key number in sight. If it goes up to 5 or 5.5, not really a big deal. 6 is the closest key number that way. If it goes down to 4, 3.5, that's better for us, but there is not really a key number there either. We're still waiting at 3 would be the key number. So go out and smash the Packers, guys. That's really what I wanted to tell you in today's video. I will have some other videos coming up just as we're getting into week 1. I do have some other data I want to give you, but that's the important one. That's the one that you can take advantage of today. But thanks again for listening. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any comments, any picks you feel really strongly about for week 1, please put it in the comments below, because we all want to win. We're all trying to beat the books, and we're all trying to get off to a great start. Thanks again. Good luck. Have a great day.